he was delivered via emergency C-section. My ex was out of it, so I got to do the first diaper change.
Oh, yeah.
I got to do the first bottles.
Yeah.
I still remember, put him to bed at like 9 o'clock, and he woke up next morning. Nurse comes in. So how many bottles? I'm like, bottles? He was sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't wake me. Why would I wake a sleeping baby?
Welcome to Becoming Epic, the podcast for the ones who are counted out, the ones who've been knocked down more times than they can count, but still get back up one more time. This isn't for the perfect. This is for the underdogs, the misfits with big hearts, the ones chasing purpose, not permission. Here, we don't just talk about success. We talk about grit, discipline, heart. We talk about the courage it takes to rebuild yourself when no one is clapping. Because becoming epic, it's not a destination. It's a decision made daily. So if you're tired of the average, the excuses, the same old story, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Adam Berezowsky, and this is Becoming Epic. Let's wake the warrior in you, and let's fucking go. Welcome back to the Becoming Epic podcast. My name is Adam Berezowsky, and I am again pumped up for this week's episode. I have probably one of the coolest dudes I've met in a long ass time. How we met was actually kind of an interesting story as well. So I just want to introduce Patrick DeWaard. He's been not only just a member here at Epic for what, 9 years?
2018, yeah, 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We've learned that I just can't do math. And so I want him to introduce himself. We'll kind of talk like how we met, which was kind of a cool story, and we'll take it from there. So introduce yourself and let's rock it.
Hey guys, Patrick DeWaard, and like I said, a member at Epic since I think 2018.
Grab the mic and pull it closer to your mouth. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Kind of stumbled on it. Met Adam in Big Bear on top.
Yeah.
Doing the Spartan beast on top of the mountain, and heard about his gym through, I used to kickbox at CKO and a lot of crossover members, and always wanted to check it out. And, honestly, I was intimidated by just the workout. And one day I just said, show up and just get it done.
Yeah. I remember that day.
No regrets.
We were climbing up one of the hills in Big Bear. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I think you were wearing your kilt.
Yeah, I showed my CKO shirt and my kilt.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, you're Adam, you own Epic Fitness. Yeah. And we just started chatting from there. And if for those of you that don't know, Big Bear Spartan Race is probably one of the hardest courses on their circuit. It's a 13-mile run, probably got 6,000 to 8,000 feet of gain over the course of the 13 miles. And it is a suffer fest. So I always tell people, like, if you can find a way to connect during suffering, you're going to connect forever. So like what originally like got you into fitness in the first place? And let's kind of talk about your origin and stuff like that.
Yeah. As a kid, I was born with a club foot, both feet, in Germany. So all my friends played soccer. I couldn't because of my feet. I always had inserts. So my parents, didn't really let me get into sports. So as a kid, I was super unathletic. I tried track and field. I couldn't run. Still can't run. So nothing's changed. Pretty good long jump. But yeah, like I said, super unathletic as a kid. Came here at the age of 14, got pulled out of 8th grade, started 8th grade here. And, everybody had high hopes. Oh, here's a guy from Germany. He's going to kick ass on the soccer team. And, so then got pegged for high school football because I was a 6'2" freshman, 200 pounds. So they're like, you played in football? I'm like, cool. What's football?
Right.
No idea what football was. So, went to Hell Week, actually liked it. I couldn't walk after day 3, but I'm like, that's kind of cool. Got into shape really fast and played football for 2 years, never a starter, didn't understand the game. So to my detriment. And then just kind of always dabbled in going to the gym, goals, didn't really like the machines and the workout. Got into cycling on a whim, kind of the same way I did a Spartan race. Borrowed a road bike from a buddy of mine. We did the Cruising the Canal.
Oh, awesome.
So it starts at T.O. Dole and end up being 50 miles. We go up Rock Store, same thing. I'm like, I'm on a borrowed bike. I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm mountain bike. So I've gotten a road biking. And for probably about 10 years, we met every Sunday. And we do see me to Santa Barbara, 100 miles, did the Solvang Sanctuary, and really like the camaraderie. And that's kind of what I get here. And then, had a kid and kind of couldn't get out anymore. And once my son was born, kind of marriage went downhill. The signs were there, but once he was born, it got even worse. Started,
well, I like how you just went from like very nonchalantly from borrowed bike to 100 miles like every weekend.
Ended up buying a bike and full blown got into it. You know, I love I'm a glutton for punishment.
For sure.
That's why. So, you know, it's like this heat, you know, I went cycling again, and it's just right now for me, it's just time balance. And that's why I like the Spartan race. It's like I said, it's just a mental, it's all mental. You know, if you can turn off the pain, there's a lot of things that you can do that you're not even aware of what your body can do. You know, you just got to turn off the little, it hurts, push it back and just keep going, you know? And that's what's gotten me through a lot of personal BS. Just turn it off and just keep motoring.
I wish that there was like an on-off switch for like the little bitch voice in our heads that say that we can't or it hurts or do whatever, because there is so much, and I say this a lot, like magic in the suffer.
It is.
That like helps you grow, because pain is hold on, how do you say it? Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional.
Exactly, that's true.
You know, so it's like if you could turn off the suffering button, right? And then we'll dive in a little bit of like your personal stuff that you've gone through, because we've kind of gone through some very similar things together. And so like Spartan race, like, so let's talk about that for a minute. Like what transpired for you to get into that?
You know, it was funny. We were sitting at, you know, Nikki CKO at the gym. We were just sitting around one day drinking. You know, I think I was one of the first members when they opened. And
awesome.
You know, the whole hitting the bag to me, that was like the ultimate stress relief.
Yeah.
You know, I can hit something without getting in trouble. So, you know, we always, same thing, kind of worked out, hung out, and we were sitting around with like, I think it was either Jose, her partner, said, hey, there was a Spartan race we should do. I'm like, sweet, let's do it. So we signed up on a whim, you know, wore cotton shirts. It was the Castaic one.
Awesome.
You know, I wore like $20 running shoes, you know, the whole wrong attire, you know, and finished. And everybody else was never again. I'm like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, love it. Came home, and I think I signed up for the next one was another sprint in, I think, Corona. And then that was 20.
Was it Chino?
Yeah, it was Chino. Yeah, that was a cool course. That was a cool flat course, and it was wet. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. Yeah. You know, just because I hate running, so it takes away from the running aspect.
Totally.
Yeah, so I was hooked. Yeah, that was 2015, I think, maybe. Yeah. And then it took me a while to do the Beast. So I did Chino a couple times. I did Castaic, Dodger Stadium a couple times. I think we did Angel Stadium. And then then the first time I did Big Bear, that was the year, I think, before we met. I did it with CKO. It was in October. That was right after.
Was that the year it snowed?
No, that was the year before. This was October. This was, I think, right after I separated. So yeah, we go up there, and I'm running, and I hit my knee on, I think, an 8-foot wall, and I had a big old hematoma on the side of my kneecap. So they're like, "You're done." I'm like, "I ain't done." I'm like, "You're done." I'm like, "Nope." And they said, you know, "We'll give you right." I was like, "Nope." I walked up. I'm gonna walk down, and if I got to go into the tent, I'm walking down. Yeah. So I walked down and went into shock in the tent, started shivering. You know, space blanket. I'm like, that sucks. Because I was 3 hours in, you know, first Beast. And then as soon as I got off the mountain, I signed up for the next year. You know, went back. And I think that's when we met the following year. And then that was the one in May.
Yeah, I think it was the first time it was in May.
It was Saturday, right? And then Sunday, I think they closed the mountain or something.
Yeah, because it snowed.
That was the year I tore my rotator cuff on Big Bear. I finished.
Yeah.
So same thing. Came home, blue and purple. I'm like, man, this sucks. Sure enough, signed up for the next one. So it's kind of, you know, and that year I finished, and then that year I ended up doing 2 Beasts. I did 2 trifectas. Year. So it's just kind of, you know, I'm 53, and I'm just like, in my brain, I'm 20. You know? Yeah. The body isn't holding up, but it's the whole suffering. Yeah. You know, if I can get through that, I can get through a lot of stuff in my personal life. You know, I've been through not just, you know, my marriage. I mean, I lost my mom when I was 19 to pancreatic cancer. You know, we moved here, and like I said, moved here. I was 14, moved from Germany to the States, didn't speak the language. Wow. Had no friends. Wow. You know, so that was, you know.
Did you move directly to California?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to move to Oregon. Just, you know, couldn't make any money back then. My dad was a plumber. Actually, in Germany, we were like, in Germany, we were upper middle class, you know, one car. My dad worked in an office, suit and tie. We came here, and we were blue collar, man. Rock, not rock bottom, but it was, my mom would cook for like a full week's the same casserole for a full week.
Wow.
She worked at Mervyn's part-time. My dad, was a plumber. And, I think after my mom passed, I think my dad worked 6 days a week, 12, 13-hour days. Never saw him. We'd go on one vacation a year, we'd go fishing. The rest of the time, he had 2 boys to raise. I was in college. My brother was in high school. That man.
No, you're good.
That man busted his ass for us.
Yeah.
And then, I never, and, we never hugged. We weren't huggers. Germany, you're just not, we don't hug and we don't, we're just not, it was very cold. My grandma actually was the matriarch. She kept the family together. My mom was super affectionate. My dad, just because of how he was brought up, we just, just wasn't the warm and fuzzies.
Yeah, I wonder if because I know back in that generation, it was the men's responsibility to care and protect and provide. Because I feel like my dad kind of had the same experience with his parents, right? Because it's not so lovey. Mm-mm. But now you get your hugs here every day.
Exactly.
So all you have to do is show up. I'll make up for all the,
exactly.
Not your dad, but
right.
But definitely make up for that.
Yeah.
Now, because I know your relationship with him is really important because he recently
2020 passed on Father's Day.
That's right.
Father's Day 20. Yeah, I got the call, and and just to kind of, I love to talk, Adam. So this was a bad idea.
No, this is a great idea. I love it. This is perfect.
You're gonna be like, who's Adam?
Take it over, baby.
So my dad, I said, he busted his ass for us, and I moved out '98 when I graduated. I met my now ex in '90. I think we got back together in '93. We used to date in junior high and broke it off, and then got back together in '93. After my mom passed, she wrote me a condolence card, and I think because I was in such a weird space at the time. I didn't have any family here, and didn't have any girlfriends in high school. Was super shy, and this was kind of, the card came at, I would say, the wrong time, and we reconnected, and then had I known then what I know now, I would have never picked up the phone. But, so I reconnected with her and we started dating. And then, slowly but surely, once I moved out and we got married, she started driving a wedge between my dad and I. She didn't like my dad. And so, if I went to see him, I got the guilt trip. So, it's just, I think we saw each other once, maybe twice a year, maybe on the holidays. And then, less and less. And he retired in 2010. Bought a house in Oregon. My son was born in 2011, so that was the whole thing. Oh, we have he has a grandson. Why isn't he staying? It's like, well, he has his own life. Yeah. I came up, you raise your kids and you set them up and they make their own fortune. You don't live around the corner. So, he saw my son when he was first born, and then I think 3 months old, and that was it. The last time I saw my dad in person was 2011, I think June or July. That's the last time I saw him. And then, went through life and always wanted to go up and, go see him in Oregon. He has 2 acres, horses, chickens, it's awesome place. And just never, I didn't want to deal with the fallout going and coming back. So never went, got divorced 2017 and went up in 2019. My brother and I, we drove up for the 4th of July. I blew me away. My dad he had onset dementia. And I remember him as, a plumber, always could figure stuff out. And now goes to the barn, gets lost in the barn, couldn't remember how to turn on, the lights or whatnot. So, it just blew me away. I hadn't seen this man, and there's a song by Zach Brown, My Old Man. Mm-hmm. That song comes on, I'm a puddle. Yeah. I'm crying. There's a bunch of songs, but that one just hits me home. Yeah, went up and he came down for Christmas. We spent Christmas together 2019, and then I get the call the following year, 2020, during COVID. So the world's already, a mess.
Hell in a handbasket?
Yeah. Everything is, going, we're locked down, and, my life is, I had just gotten, so when I first got divorced, I was, almost homeless. I was one step from living in my car. Wow. I just wanted to get out of the marriage. put deed at the house to her,
Yeah.
left with 2 suitcases, lived in a hotel for about a week on points,
Wow.
found a 1-bedroom apartment I couldn't afford, working in a shit job that,
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. No filter.
working in a shit job, 12, 13 hours a day, saw my son if she allowed me to.
Yeah.
And if she felt like I didn't deserve it, she said, you can't see him. So that was, yeah, man, my life was, I was drinking, eating, ballooned up, with the stress and depression. I mean, I was going down in a dark, dark, dark place. For me, real easy for me to go there. So that was 2017, kind of got my stuff together. That's where the Spartan races helped kind of get the mind off stuff. And, it's like, if I can get to that, I can get through this,
I think that's why I love Spartan so much, is because it puts everything that we go through in life in a tangible physical thing. Cause it's like, we go through these obstacles,
100%.
like your dad, a divorce, your kid, trust me, you and I have similar stories with that. But it puts it into like a physical act to be able to prove to yourself that you can overcome something, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, it's a wall, it's a barbed crawl, you're climbing a mountain, right? When sometimes like the fact that you don't know when the next time you're going to see your kid, it's like climbing a mountain,
Exactly.
and fighting the fight that you fought and are still continuing to fight.
It's been 7 years and I'm going to court in 3 weeks. During COVID, I finally, I met an awesome lady. We met her on a dating app and we knew each other when we were 18. We ended up going on a date and, she ended up moving in and, she had an extra bedroom, which enabled me to get partial custody. So go to court. I get every other weekends. This was February of 2020. I had him, I think, one weekend in February, and that was a mess. She called the cops on me. So luckily I knew the officers, so I got him. He came over 2 weeks later, and then state got shut down.
Yeah,
and she's like, you can't see him because of COVID. His grandparents are older. You're working not from home. You're not wearing a mask. You're not being safe. You can't see him. So I'm like, I go to court. The judge said, doesn't matter. He still has custody. She wouldn't open the door. So I'm like, so this was March. So I'm like, fine, whatever.
But I think that's what sucks about this time that not a lot of people understand, because you and I went through a similar time, like through that specific area. You were divorced before I was, but like the courts were shut down. Yeah. Like to get in to even see somebody was like almost nearly impossible. And then on top of that, it was just quick in and out. Like they didn't want you sitting in the courtroom. They didn't like seeing a judge. That's even if you could, online, like it was such a diverse. So it's like, you're in this position that you don't know when the next time is. And it felt like forever.
Yeah. It
like
was forever.
From March till July was like I feel like, I don't know, I always say this. I'm like, I'm still living in 2019, this is just now almost 2026 because of how slow time was. And now since then it's been like hyperspeed, right? But yeah, I mean, I totally feel you.
And mine was the first case, because now if you read, it always says COVID restrictions have nothing to do with custody order supersede COVID restrictions. So I actually went to court, and I think that's what my lawyer said. Mine was the first case of many where, divorced couples would keep the kids from each other because of COVID.
And use that as an excuse.
Yeah. So I didn't see him for March. I think she let me see him. We rode bikes down the street. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
She treated me like a freaking leopard. So just because I didn't stay, her job, she can work from home. I didn't have the luxury, and I didn't want to stay home because I can't. So. And then I think she eased up. I was supposed to go. I made plans to take him fishing on Father's Day. That's what my dad and I used to do. And then I said I got the call the Saturday before. My dad had fallen in the bathroom and he flatlined. His wife called 911. They worked on him for, I think, 15 minutes.
Wow.
And brought him back, put him to the hospital. And again, this was 6 months after, Christmas, and the last time I saw him. So I had planned to take my son up the following year to meet his grandpa and stuff. So I fly up out of Burbank. I think it's a Friday. And then as I'm in Burbank, waiting to board, the hospital calls me and saying, your dad is, unresponsive. We have a feeding tube, but, if we keep the feeding tube in, it's going to be an infection in 30 days. And I said, remove the feeding tube, let him just, it's his time. Yeah. I mean, but my mom had pancreatic cancer. I was I was 19 in the hospital. My dad picked up my aunt from the airport, and doctors came in, and same thing, her organs shut down. They're like, anything? I said, nope, let it be. A 19-year-old kid made the decision to basically just let it go.
Wow.
So I knew my dad. I mean, I have the same thing. If something happens, nothing. So So I knew he had a DNR. So yeah, I'm at the airport, called my brother, and luckily we're on the same page. Remove the feeding tube. Even if he comes out, it's gonna be a vegetable. That's not what he wants. And then, of course, stepmom is fighting. I said, sorry, this is a family decision. I'm the oldest son. Decision's been made, and nothing. We're just gonna let him go when it's his time. So this was Friday. So I got up there late Friday. It's just outside Bend, Oregon. So get out to the ranch. They moved him to hospice that Friday. So Saturday we go to hospice, and those nurses, God bless what they do.
Dude, amen. I think those are the most undervalued nurses for what they go through.
100%.
Because it's like, when you're on hospice, you don't come off.
That's exactly. And I told her, I said, whatever you need to do to make him comfortable, make him comfortable. That's what Saturday we saw him. And it's funny, my dad was like me, when him and I, we talk, and it's like Italians and Germans you talk over each other. So I actually had 45 minutes where I said my piece, I talked, and that was just Saturday. And then the next day, 7:30, the phone rang, Father's Day, Sunday, that he just didn't wake up. For me, it was, I was at peace, because I knew, you go to hospice, it's end of life. My brother, I think, was in denial. He thought he was going to come around, and so did my stepmom. But I said, I'm up there making all the decisions, decided cremation and basically making all the, end of life decisions and, administering his trust and everything. So yeah, that was, all during COVID 2020. So, so 2020 for me was hard. But like I said, I think the Spartan race and just, it's more mental. So, mentally, I'm a pretty tough person. Just haven't gone through with the court, the divorce, family, almost, like I said, almost living in my car. Just, when it comes to my son, I'll do whatever I have to do. I mean, if I have to live in my car so he can have whatever he needs, I have no problem doing it. It's who cares?
So let me ask you a question on that, because I feel like so many people feel like, because that's a specific mindset, right? Is like, you're literally willing to do anything, live on the streets for your kid. Like, where do you think that came from? Like, was it from childhood? Was it just from how you were raised? Like, was it, knowing that like you're going to do whatever it takes, but then you're also going to overcome it at some point?
I think that's how I grew up. My grandma, in Germany, man, that lady, she was our rock. She was.
Well, those Germans are freaking tough.
Her last name translate means stand fast. That lady, she stood fast. She grew up during World War II. Her dad was 50 when she was born. So she grew up on a farm, only daughter, no boys. So her dad didn't care. So she was plowing fields. She never went past, I think, a sixth grade education.
Wow.
So yeah, she was plowing fields and, doing what had to be done. Ended up got married, had my first aunt had out of wedlock with the guy she was truly in love with. Couldn't marry him because he wasn't a farmer. Dad forbade it. So she had 3 more kids. My second aunt and my mom was a twin.
Wow.
So then she found out that her husband was cheating on her. So she basically packed up her 4 kids, went back to her hometown and raised 4 kids on her own. This was back in 55, 56. You didn't leave, you didn't leave a marriage.
Yeah.
So yeah, she raised 4 kids on her own with no formal education.
Wow.
So I think that's kind of where it started. I mean, that lady would have done whatever for her family to keep.
Just figure it out.
She, same thing. And, she bailed out my uncle twice. He went bankrupt. She didn't care, and then my grandparents on my dad's side, after the war, left Germany, came here with, nothing on the ship, raised my dad, went to Germany, and after my dad graduated high school, so, he wouldn't have to serve in Vietnam. My grandpa was a Dutch immigrant on a cruise ship when Hitler invaded Holland.
Wow.
So he's like, you know what, I'm not going back to Holland. So he left his family behind.
Oh my God.
Enlisted, served at D-Day and served during the war, came here. So I'm not going to raise, I didn't give everything up to raise a kid so he can go to Vietnam and die.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
and my parents, like the same cycle, you know, left Germany with one-way ticket, no jobs. You know, I think after my mom, I said my mom died, my dad worked 5 days a week just for us.
Wow.
I think that's where that came from. Growing up, I was like, you know, we don't do it for ourselves. We do it for the next generation. You know, I think that's the immigrant mindset. You come here, you know, and it's like, we don't care what happens to us as long as our kids have a better life than we do. And that's, to me, that's what it is. You know, he's the only grandson, so I know he's well taken care of. But I said, it's, if it means I'm living in my car and showering and, you know, Adam's sink or something, you know, that's fine. As long as I know he's taken care of. And I think as a kid, you value what you have when you see your parents struggle. It's not given to you.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you know, it's like, you know, he's pretty spoiled. So I've been kind of reeling him in. I think especially being a kid of divorce, they can figure out pretty quickly. They can play mom and dad against each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Know? And when I was first got divorced, whatever he wanted, he got.
Yeah.
And so now that's kind of stopped.
Yeah.
You know, I still want him to be a good human being first, and which he is. I mean, the kid has got a super kind soul, you know, and
no, he's a good kid.
Yeah, so it's, you know, he's an athlete, volleyball, so he's a good kid. But yeah, I think we do it for them. You know, that's what I saw growing up, and that's how, you know, hopefully. And I talked about it too. I said everything that, you know, I do, that your grandparents do, that your mom does. You know, she's in it for herself, but I said we do it for you.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, what you're given, you're gonna, you know, build on and do it for your kids. You know, and so it's, you know.
I think what's hard about like a divorced family like this day and age is because, like, you know, I definitely don't agree with a lot of things my ex does. Yeah. The one thing I can say, no matter what kind of ideology she have versus me, is that she's a good mom, right? She, you know, in the sense of like, my daughter's always fed. She's got a roof over her head, right? Like, in a sense, she has whatever she wants, because unfortunately my ex is the I will buy you whatever you want mentality. But it's, I mean, your age is different. Like your kid's 13, 14?
14, yeah.
Right? Where I think he has a little bit more awareness of like what is happening, your relationship, the dynamic, versus like mine is a little bit more kind of like naive now, the fact that it's been so long and it's kind of normal, right? Yeah. Versus like being able to talk to my kid about like what is going on, why mommy and daddy aren't getting along. But I also don't show her that side too. Right. Because I don't want her to be in a situation like this as an adult. Like whether whoever she marries, like whether if it's successful or not, like, you know, you made these choices, but yet you have to come to some common ground, especially when there's a kid involved. And, you know, I think the growth mindset of like just knowing that you're not in control of anything that happens over there, and the only thing that you can provide as a father is what you present.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, and so I think that's admirable of you, you know, for the fact that like you're showing your kid, like, I'm willing to, like, again, going back to what I say, like there's so many parents willing to die for their children, but not many people are willing to live. And in a sense, like, yes, you might feel like you're willing to die, but you're willing to live in a car. You're willing to do these things. Like, to me, like that's probably the most willingness to live for your kid, for them to be successful.
It is. I mean, I want to be in his life. You know, my dad, like I said, wasn't, not by choice. So I want to be, you know, I want to be a grandpa. I mean, I'm dying to be, have a little grandkid.
Totally.
I want to be a pop or whatever. So he's a little bit young, but you know, I want to see him get married. I want to see him, you know, I want to hold that, you know, that grandkid. So, you know, it's, you know, and yeah, I think we hope as kids of divorced parents that they don't make the same mistakes that we did. You know, it's, because you always were like, you know, are my actions, how is that going to affect, you know, his relationship down the road? Yeah. You know, and so.
But that's again, like where I truly believe like kids will mirror what the parents did over and above what the parents tell the kid to do.
That's true. Yeah, I don't talk to him about it. I don't talk to him why we split. You know, I just, you know, he knows he has a loving home. You know, he can, and we have different parenting styles. You know, my ex hovers. You know, I trust and verify. Which, you know, I mean, I'm just thankfully he's not like me when I was his age. You know,
I mean, I think that's the best.
Good thing we didn't have phones back then.
Right. That's all we hope for.
It didn't happen. So right. So yeah, it's, you know, and it's, we have a pretty good, you know, relationship. And I'm going back to court in 3 weeks for actually 50-50 custody.
Oh, awesome.
Which, last year was good, no court. She took me to court for contempt for drinking, and I had to do, breathalyzers for 6 months. So it's been rough. So hopefully once I get my 50-50, I've been building up to it over the past couple of years, so that'll be done, so.
Now, do you feel like that has to do like with an anger towards you as a person? Or is that like, hey, we have this kid together. I'm the woman. I'm in control. I'm going to do whatever I can to hurt you.
She's a narcissist.
Okay.
And that's the thing. She's always right. And,
okay.
She used him to control my actions when we first split.
Yeah.
And it's just basically, things she does, she does it because it suits her. He tried out for volleyball, and, he made the club team. And, and then the games were in Seal Beach. And then I said, hey, if you don't want to take him, I'll take him. But she can't be bothered. It's too far. She told him, sorry, you can't play. So which to me, I look at it, I look at long term. So, to me, that's setting the seed. It's like he knows I'm willing to make a sacrifice. I'll take him. Then I said, I'll take him. She goes, well, now you're going to take away from my time. I'm like, it's not your time.
I know.
It's for him. It's not against you. It's for him. I do things for him, and she does things for herself. So there's a different parenting styles.
Yeah.
And like I said, another couple of years, 4 years is going to fly by.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter, Adam? She's 8?
8. She'll be 9 in November.
Just wait.
I know. But that's where so you just said something that really kind of hit a nerve in me, because I have an issue because my ex left town without because from what I know about divorces, technically you're not supposed to leave within a certain distance outside of the town of origin, right?
Yeah, my divorce agreement says she cannot leave Simi Valley.
Yeah. And so when I fought before she served me with papers, she already moved to Montrose.
I see, yeah.
Right. And by the time the courts, she served me in February, courts shut down in March. And then I couldn't even fight for her to come back because I couldn't get into the courts. Right. So what you said something about how he's got on the club team, games are far away. So this is an issue that just got brought up in my relationship where it's in a sense my fault because my daughter wants to play softball. Right. But my ex is not willing to put her in a league that's closer to that's somewhere in between. Right. And so so she made it a point to say oh, daddy's not letting you play because of he wants it to be closer. Right.
Yep.
Because it is hard for a dad, to always trek and travel because the courts are not towards the men. They say that they are, but the littlest things, why do I not have 50-50 custody? Why did she move out there and it be okay? I feel that's not towards a man. Right. But it's it's the willingness of a father that's wanting to be in the kid's life in a divorce situation when I don't know if you wanted the divorce, but I definitely didn't want the divorce. I knew my relationship was going to end in that direction, the way that it was going. But I was willing to fight to try to fix it.
Yeah.
But I don't want my daughter to see me not make a sacrifice because it's inconvenient for me.
Right.
And I just did that. And it's you kind of brought that to my attention because I want her to do the things that she wants to do, even if I can't make it all the time.
Exactly.
And I think that's the hard part because it's I didn't sign up to be a divorced dad. My vision having a kid is I get to spend my whole life or her whole life with her or the rest of my life with her. And now I can't. Right.
Yeah.
So now I am kind of being selfish in that sense of no, she can't play out there with her friends because it's not convenient for me.
To a point. I mean, it's, and yes and no again, but you have a business,
totally
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I have my weekends free,
Yeah.
but right now, I'm temporarily retired. So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice.
For sure.
It's, and then I send her a message saying, it's I had a feeling that you weren't going to let him play. And then she said, well, if you knew that, then thank you. I will let him know that you set him up for failure. I said, that's not what it is.
Yeah.
Once I found out where the games were, and because there's been issues in the past. So, but again, it's, hopefully in the long run, I said, just, he's playing on Simi High and hopefully in the next year, he'll try out again. And, it's, and it's tough. I think the whole divorce dad, it's the little time we have, we try to make an impact.
Yeah.
I think being a girl dad is a little bit harder.
It is
Than being a boy dad. So him and I, we're we go fishing and he's perfectly fine. Just sit on the lake for 5 hours.
Totally.
Done.
Yeah.
And so he's now he plays golf for whatever reason. I don't know why, but
Whatever.
He's
Finding his
a
hobbies.
couple of his buddies. They play golf, so I just drop him off at the golf course and good to go.
Yeah.
Now he's a little bit older, and as I don't think I could do a girl dad. But
It's a different relationship. And I mean, again, the only experience I have is obviously with being only one child, but I'm so thankful for the relationship I do have with her that I've built with her. Cause yes, I mean, an entrepreneur, I have the freedom, right? In the sense of just, Jesus, you good? But I also work, like my business is thriving when people are not working, right? So it's like in normal parenting, like when after school stuff, after work stuff, like the 5:30 p.m., like that's when my business is rocking, right? And I love being here. And I have taken quite a few steps back of not having to be here every day. I'm sure you've noticed like where I'm not here every day, but but that's because like I want to be able to bring my daughter to school on a day and not have to drag her to the gym at 5 a.m. to then leave here by 7 to get to her to school by 8. And so but my relationship with her is so deep. Like she just knows how to like say the right things because I think, the just kind of like a boy with his mom, right? It's a different relationship versus a boy with his dad. And same thing with me and my daughter. Like her relationship with her mom it's very fun. It's very outgoing, but her and I's relationship is just like to the core. Right. And so, and I don't think I could be a boy dad.
Yeah.
It's like now that I am a girl dad, like I kind of wanted a boy, at the beginning we got like a name picked out, all that stuff. But then when it came down to it, like she stole my heart.
Yeah. What's that? Mine was, I got lucky in a sense. He was delivered via emergency C-section. My ex was out of it, so I got to do the first diaper change.
Oh, yeah.
I got to do the first bottles.
Yeah.
I still remember, put him to bed at like 9 o'clock, and he woke up next morning. Nurse comes in. So how many bottles? I'm like, bottles? He was sleeping.
Yeah.
Like he didn't wake. Why would I wake a sleeping baby? He's gonna wake up.
Like the dude needs food.
Pediatrician comes in. He's like, yeah, when they're sleeping, just let them sleep.
Yeah.
So from day one, he was like in bed by 9, then slept till 6.
Wow.
And I was home for 3 months with him. Yeah, so I got the bond, when from day 0 till he was 3 months old. I was always there. So that was, Yeah, he's the same thing. He knows exactly, he's not a hugger, but he knows when he come over and just like, hey, Dad, give me a hug, So he does, very intuitive, it's funny. I don't know his relationship with her, but I picked last Sunday, we were golfing. She picked me up within 30 seconds. I hear him arguing. Something, again, it'll benefit. And hopefully, the court talks to him about 50-50. And I just hope, because who knows what she's telling him behind the scenes. So hopefully he'll say, we want 50-50 because, there's, deadbeat dads that have more time than you and I do.
I heard the craziest story. My old neighbor had video of her ex-husband drinking and driving with the kid in the car, and they still did not take custody away.
Yeah, see?
From this deadbeat dad.
That's what I'm saying. There's dads out there that don't pay child support, nothing, and they still get 50-50.
And it's so crazy.
We've been over backwards, and we got to fight for every inch.
But I think in the world, unfortunately, what is it, like 9 out of 10 marriages now end in divorce? Like it's crazy. Like the numbers are staggering. The amount of people too that have that I've noticed that have been married for a long time are now like saying like, oh, this is kind of a normal thing. Like the 3 to 5 year marriage. Cause like I hit the 7-year rut. My 2 biggest relationships, first one from high school, engaged, hit 7 years, boom, broke up. Wow. My ex-wife, met her 2 years, 5 years married, boom, broke up. Like 7 years, like I call it the 7-year curse.
I was 18 years married.
Wow.
And together at the time, 23.
Yeah.
And it just, once my son, and the signs, like I said, the signs were there.
Yeah.
But before it was just me, I didn't care.
Yeah.
And once my son was born, it just got unbearable.
But it's also hard. Like if you don't come from a divorced family, it's like, it's just till death do us part. Like that's what you're taught.
Yeah.
Like marriage has this sanctity of like, you're a partnership through the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to suffer through the hard time, but that's, I think, what makes good relationships last. Like my grandma, she's actually like on her deathbed as we speak because she's 98. My grandfather died 2 years ago. They were married alive for 76 years. Met when they were 13 at it's like the
Americana heartfelt story. They met it in like the Catskills in upstate New York at a camp that their parents used to take them to every summer. And they met there. Then like they were together like basically ever since. They've been in like news articles and like their whole life story. Like I wish I had my podcast when my grandfather was still alive, so that way I can have like him tell his story, because it's just, and same thing with my grandma, like, you know, but again, it's like you see those types of people and like that's what your relationship should model, right?
That was my parents. I mean, they were each other's first true love. I found, going to my dad's things after he passed, I found a note that he wrote my mom when they were still dating. You know, an invite to a party and stuff. And they were each other's true love. I mean, they got married at, I think my mom was 20. You know, my dad was 23, same thing. I mean, they lived in a studio apartment, no heat in the winter. There's a picture of me with mittens and a beanie on. It was so cold. Yeah, my mom was like, she was his ride or die. He goes, we're moving to the States. She goes, okay. You know, left her mom, they lived around the corner, her siblings, and moved to the States. You know, if my mom hadn't passed, my dad hadn't passed, they'd still be together. And he said, you know, I regret getting married, but then I wouldn't have my son.
Yeah.
But that's the, like, I keep coming back to, well, if I hadn't, you know, gotten back together with my ex, but when I did, you know, where would I be now? How would my life be different? I wouldn't have. That's kind of what it comes back to, you know?
Yeah. But I, you know, I'll touch upon that because yes, I look back at the hell that I went through with my marriage. But again, like, because I have this living human being that no matter what will be with me forever.
Exactly.
Like whether she hates me or not, she will always be my kid. She can't just be like, okay, dad, I'm going to divorce you. Like you're not my dad anymore. Like it's just not possible. Like you are my walking blood, sections of my DNA are walking with you. You know, but like, yeah, there's a long time I've held so much resentment towards my ex of like, oh, I shouldn't, like, I regret marrying you. And like, especially in the heat of the moment, like saying stupid shit, like in a fight that just like is going to go nowhere just to say dumb shit. And I'm still, honestly, I'm still dealing with that type of stuff just because, unfortunately, because we're not married anymore, doesn't mean she doesn't know how to push my buttons. Right?
Tell me about it.
And that's I think the hardest part of like growth. But then again, like, I think that this is the perfect opportunity to talk about like why, because like I've seen you like go like this in your physical life. But the one thing that I can say is the fact that like, you know, you've always shown up for yourself no matter what you've gone through. You might not talk as much because you're sad and you're going through your shit, but like, and I've seen your body change. Like I've seen you gain the weight. I've seen you lose the weight. But if there's one thing that I have seen you consistently do is show up here every single day on the days that you can and put forth the effort, you know? And I think like, you know, that is obviously has had to help you.
For sure.
You know, through those hard times, because yes, Spartan races are one thing, but like the day in, day out repeated motion of like doing something hard when you've gained 20 pounds from drinking or, you know, eating like shit because you're going through this shit, but like you're still showing up, you're still pushing through and it's just another one of those obstacles. So like I think that discipline is built from the sounds like of everything that you've gone through. And like, you know, no matter what from the sounds of it, with the relationship of your dad, like you're truly living his legacy in the sense of like, yes, your last part of your relationship wasn't good because of your ex, but like he built you to be this person to never give up on his kid.
Yeah, and he's there. I mean, I know, you know, it's funny. You know, I went fishing a couple of years ago after I took Ashes. I went to Mammoth and I caught one fish lake we always went to, and I took a picture. And then after the picture was done, I looked at it and I saw like a sunbeam coming up, and that's what I had done here.
Oh, awesome!
So that's you know, it's like that was him. Then you get one, and then that whole trip turned into scattering his ashes at all different lakes.
Oh,
you know, so yeah, so he you know, he's you know, I have pictures all over the house. You know, and I talk to my son about his grandparents all the time.
Yeah,
you know, and Carolyn, I mean, that lady, you know, she's been a rock. You know, the stuff that I went through, and, you know, we're together, so she goes through the same stuff. Yeah. And she got attacked personally by my ex.
Oh, shit.
Facebook messages and text messages. And, I mean, anybody else would have said, you know what, you got too much baggage. But she's like, you know what, I'm going to prove her wrong. You know, now she's been in my life. We just had our anniversary yesterday, 7 years.
Wow.
You know, so.
And what a small world, because she helped me at my wedding.
That's right. Yeah.
All the people
Don't hold that against her.
that you could date. Yeah. you date the person that was like my wedding
That's
coordinator
right, yeah.
at the location where I got married.
Yeah, so and we just did the Arbonne 30-day cleanse together.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
Yeah, so she's been a rock. She's I said anybody else would have said see you later.
Yeah.
Because I don't need this much drama. She's divorced, and I have enough drama in my life. I don't need any more. So
Totally. But I think that shows like in second relationships that are healthy, right? Like I'm kind of dealing with this right now because I have a ton of baggage, right? Like, but to be honest with you, I think Caitlin and Cassidy are probably more friends than Caitlin and I are, because Cassidy's kind of been like a voice of reason for me to be like, dude, just shut up and be the best dad that you possibly can versus fighting your ex on everything just because you can, right? Because in a sense, like I might not agree, but doesn't mean I have to do it at my house, right? Like I'm going to raise my daughter a certain way. Like I teach her every day, chivalry is not dead. Like every time we're walking in a sidewalk, she runs to the inside because she goes, I know daddy. And it's the same. I want to show up in the way that a man should show up for her.
Yeah, I raised mine to open doors.
Totally.
If we go to the store, open the door.
Yep.
And so that's how he's being raised.
Yeah.
Respect women.
Yep.
I told him if you ever hit a girl, and daddy's going to kick your ass no matter how old he is.
No matter what.
We don't raise our hands to anybody.
Yeah.
And I said if you get in a fight, as long as you don't throw the first punch, you're allowed to finish it.
Yeah, but I think that's admirable, right? Because like you might not have been ready for a relationship like this if you weren't doing the things that you were doing and exercising and taking care of yourself. Because allowing somebody to come in and basically be a supporter for you, because like the whole stigma, I talk about this a lot, being a man, it's like, oh, we have to be tough. We can't be emotional. Right. But it's like, it's 2025. Like, and we don't have to, like, I cry, you cry, like, and there's things that we just have to be able to do. I always say like, it's not behind every good man should be a good woman. It's right next to you. So a good woman should stand up with you 100%. And not be like the person holding you up. It's holding your hand and walking in it with you.
Yep.
And so that shows again, all the work that you've done up to this point to allow somebody like that to go home to treat you right. And
she was shocked. The first time she saw me cry, I came back from Oregon after the whole leave with my dad, and I think just the way just lost it. Wow. And she's like, wow, I've never seen you express emotion and stuff. And I said, this was not, it's hard. Yeah. So, and I still, I get choked, like certain things still choke me up, but I said she's been, she's been by my side. And I think a lot of, COVID, it either brought you closer together or it split you apart. Yep. And her and I said if we can get through COVID, we can get through anything. And so she's definitely my ride or die, whatever. I can go on vacation, she doesn't care. Yeah. I'll go away for a week to Arizona. She's like, bye, see you. So it's, she goes away. It's, it's a healthy, second relationship, which is, I think you and I, we both deserve that. We've been through a lot of stuff, and, we're not dead yet. We're seasoned. Yep. Me a little more than you. We're on our second. We're on the backslide. They say I'm past 50, so I'm on the back end. So
but I also think like us as men, like we physically mature, but mentally don't.
I'm 25.
Yeah, no, I say I'm 17 for sure. Like I'm like, oh, I could jump off this roof. Right? Like look down. I used to do all that stuff. Yeah. But then obviously my bone structure is not capable. But then it's like, there's so many things that I want to experience in my life that I'm not willing to like let my physical fitness to not let me do it because I'm not strong enough. Right. And I think that as I get older, cause like I do love Spartan, I love racing, but like the amount of pain that it does cause onto one human, just combats everything else that you go through mentally. That's true. And it's like, I love it. Like, I mean, you came out a couple on my birthday runs. I think my first year you were out there. I think so. It's the same weekend as Carolyn. So always. Yeah. But it's like, to be able to like go out and enjoy those things and to go hiking and being as and you're not even that old. I mean, it's crazy that you say you're over 50, but how old are you?
53.
Yeah. I mean, you're 13 years older than me, which really isn't that big of a gap.
All right.
Like, from 25 to like, or like say 27 to 40, like that's a pretty, hopefully I did that math right.
Yeah, that's 13.
Is that 13 years? Yeah. Duh. That's my age gap. Should have known that.
That's a big stretch.
Yeah. Well, that's my girlfriend right now, but she is like a million times more mature than me. She's like a grandma. She likes to go to bed at 8 o'clock. When we're like in bed at 9 o'clock, she's like, okay, like begging to turn the TV off or whatever, or me to shut off my informational YouTube videos. But yeah, it's like, but I think that this is like goes hand in hand to like not let, like you want to continue to show your kid
100%.
what it's like to live as a healthy adult.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about doing, a friend of mine did the Camino a couple of years ago.
That's the one in Spain?
That's the one starts in France and it goes to Spain. So
Okay.
It's 700, about 500 miles.
Yes.
And you walk. And I'm thinking, 55 in 2 years. He did it from, get your stuff in a shuttle to hotel.
Yeah.
I want to backpack the thing.
Yeah.
Strap stuff on my back, and you sleep in hostels.
Yeah.
But in 2 years, when I'm 55, I'm thinking that's a perfect after birthday present.
Okay.
When I'm 55.
Well, this is
That's it, man.
We
It's
wrote the
official
goal
now.
down.
That's
Yep.
it.
Because it's on record.
Yep.
Because I think goals like that are so important. Because you
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to like continue to like beat your body down of like
I'm
go
done with that.
harder
I
on Spartan
can't.
in this.
Yeah.
Because like there's so many great. I mean, yeah, there's the Camino. There's the Colorado Trail, which is like a
Pacific Crest Trail.
the PCT Trail. There's the center one. Then there's the one that goes across the United States. Like there's so many things that like and options that you can do to like continue to become better for yourself, but then like not have to destroy your body in the meantime.
Yep. And I'm not religious, but the Camino, there's a good movie. It's called The Way, if you haven't seen it.
I haven't.
It's with Martin Sheen. And it's kind of, he's a doctor in LA. His son does the Camino, played by Emilio Estevez. And his son dies on day one.
Oh,
So
shit.
he flies to France, pick up the body, and then he decides, I'm going to walk it and scatter the ashes.
Oh,
So it's an awesome, it hit home for me. It's a good movie.
yeah.
Yeah, it's, people do it for different reasons. I have my reasons to do it, and I want to take, when my son graduates, I want to take him to Europe, show him where I grew up. And, my dream is hopefully, he want to do the Camino with me, when he's older out of school, and B, I go on an annual trail ride in Arizona. He's got to be 21, so I'm hoping in 7 years.
That's the horseback.
That's the horseback
Okay.
one, yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
hoping in 7 years he still wants to go, because to me, that'd be the ultimate. I just took Carolyn's oldest with me.
Awesome.
He was like my surrogate son, and
Yeah.
did phenomenal, so.
But I think that's again like where you continue to show up for yourself. You enjoy the life the way that you are enjoying it, and it just becomes infectious.
It is.
Like I think there's no way who would not want to experience something like that.
Yeah.
Who has no desire. So that's awesome. Well, Patrick, we're right on time.
Yep.
Right on time. I'm thankful for doing life with you. It's been a blessing.
You've been the constant. This place during, COVID and stuff was definitely, and even before and after, it's a place I can go and, it's family
All day, every day.
all day.
On that note, find your family. Let's kick some freaking butt. Subscribe. Let's share Patrick's story. That was freaking awesome. I didn't know half that shit, which is surprising because I know a lot about a lot of people.
I'm a private person. believe it or not.
No, I can see that for sure. But I'm very thankful for sharing this because I think it helps me help you, helps me get to know you a little bit better. And we get to share amazing stories. So on to the next episode. Love you guys. Subscribe, like, click, do all the bullshit. See you on the next one.
See you guys.
That's it for today's episode of Becoming Epic. If something stirred in you today, don't let it fade. Take one step, one rep, one bold move. You're not here to play small. You're here to rise, rebuild, and become who you were born to be. Remember, average is easy, epic is earned, and the only way out is through. I believe in you, but it's time you believe in you. Subscribe, share, join the movement, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, go be epic.